So it really has been an absolutely diabolical season, and thankfully it's finally come to an end. We had a chance to finish 14th today if everything kind of went our way, which is sort of a 10 to 13 million pound swing. But we also had the opportunity to kind of finish 17th as well, which was a distinct possibility depending on how things went. But look, I mean, when Lopetegui was the manager, I said we'd probably end up finishing roughly about 14th, and that was just because I was frustrated. We were sticking around the around the 14th place for about 4 to 5 weeks, pretty much no matter what it was that we did. Win, lose or draw, we just kind of seemed rooted to that spot. But then obviously when the manager changed to Potter, things just kind of got bad to worse. And, we spent most of our time down in the 17th place. So 14th is where we finish now, which, all's well that kind of ends well in that sort of respect, but it kind of feels a little bit, bad to be celebrating a 14th position, especially considering that I was pessimistically predicting a sort of 11th to 12th place finish at the beginning of the season due to the level of the rebuild that we had and, the change in management, just that kind of upheaval. It does tend to take a while to settle in with these sorts of things. It's also quite funny, that Potter started at 14th and finished at 14th. Obviously, you've got to take that with a heavy dose of salt, but it's probably not the best return for the new manager, or not what we were hoping for. That's especially true. Well, look, it wasn't really, to get to the game, it wasn't really a good game. I felt, other than the result, of course, 3-1's a good result for us, but it was a bit scrappy and low quality, I think, pretty much like almost like the first time we played them, to be honest with you. And again, as we say, the scorelines don't really reflect the game too much. I think we just took our chances. I felt there were a couple of opportunities that Ipswich had to put us under pressure, but ultimately just sort of lacking that final quality to put the ball in the back of the net. And thankfully, we had a couple of opportunities and we put them away. So, not a good game really, but, we get by. So the starting lineup wasn't particularly great, I didn't think, today. I felt like it was a bit of an embarrassment to put Fabianski in goal in the last game of the season, especially with it being away. We wanted him to be in, really get the last home game. So I think, as I say, that was a little bit disrespectful to Fabianski, and I felt really bad for him. No Evan Ferguson. Just don't understand why we even bothered, to be completely honest with you. I don't know how much money that cost us, but I actually think that was even worse than the Kevin Phillips signing the last year. So Calvin Phillips even. I don't know why we bothered. Kudus on the bench. I don't know. I think that might be the end for him, to be completely honest with you. I think that was a good finish for him at the end of the game, but other than that, I think him not getting the start there probably tells you everything that you need to know. We started with 2 up front and 3 at the back. So, going 3-5 at the back, whatever you want to call it, just to sort of, plug the defence against Ipswich. I just think we need to be a bit more adventurous than that. So that was a little bit annoying to see, but it was quite nice to see Fulkrug up front. Although, to be honest with you, I don't really feel like he offered a lot today. Found it pretty difficult to get involved. He had a couple of opportunities, but nothing that we were nothing to write home about. To be fair, Todibo had a bad game. The commentary team were calling him out the whole time. I think he needs to put in just a bit more effort to be considered in the first team's spaces. And his fitness really needs to be better at this point of the season. I don't know what's happened to him, but that really needs to be sorted out. We can't have someone huffing and puffing after 20 to 30 minutes and putting in a passenger performance like that, in the Premier League. And thankfully we were up against lower quality opposition today, otherwise, you get punished for that. And look, he did get punished at one point for a little bit of lazy defending, which alongside, Fabianski, to be honest with you, whose distribution was, as bad as the legend as such, today. played a really heavy part in Ipswich's goal. So Alvarez, again, not a particularly good game. I think there's a really good player in there, but I just don't know how much. I just don't know how much he fits with West Ham. I don't know if Man United are going to come sniffing around like they did before, or what they were rumoured to do before. But if they do, I think I would definitely be listening to that one, because we do need a heavy midfield rebuild. And I think Alvarez should probably be moved on. He's always been talking about, what's next for him. And, as I said before in previous videos, he does treat this club a bit like a stepping stone. And I don't hate that, because it means that we get good players, even if it's just for the time being. But to be so open about it like that is, can be a little bit disheartening, especially when you love the club as much as we do. You don't want to hear people talking about you like that, But there were a couple of people, as I say, that had a really bad game. But I think Bowen had a really, really good game again. Absolutely influential, best player on the pitch, I think, by far today. Fans were singing "Too good for England," and I think they're dead right. And it was a real shame that Tuchel didn't pick him. I think it's really, one of those things that obviously it's the pinnacle of the game for any player, and a real shame for him, as I really do think that he's a great player and he's worthy of the England shirt. I'd like to see him play for England, but equally, I don't mind seeing him on the training ground and not getting injured. Because the more games you play, the more injury potential there is. So look, yeah, not ideal, but I'd say keeping him on the training ground and around the other players for this summer is going to be can only be really seen as a good thing, I think, for me, to get that sort of togetherness in the pre-season that we need to see, rather than international breaks messing things around like it did last season and things like that. I don't understand why we're still playing Rodriguez though. Don't understand why he comes on. If we're shipping him out, which we seem to be, what's the point in keeping him about? Makes no sense to me. No sense in playing him. He assisted the Kudus goal, but there wasn't really much going on there. There was but as we sort of said before, he's too slow. Yes, he's got a good footballing brain, but he's too old, too slow. Get him in another league, and maybe you might be able to get another season or two out of him. But I just don't think he's good enough for West Ham. Kudus came on later in the game. Made obviously a decent impression, put in a good bit of effort, and then scored the third goal for us, which was a great goal. But I mean, that lack of celebration from him again just sort of tells us, I think, almost everything that we need to know. And yes, it was a bit of a scrappy game and all that sort of stuff, but I just don't feel like he cared. Don't feel like he gave a shit. And I think that might just be it, which is a bit of a shame. As I said, like, all that potential, and never really realised it. So yeah, a bit of a diabolical season, but we did finish above Spurs and Man United, so not the end of the world. Some positives to be taken from that, if you can find any. But look, a great 3 points. These are the kind of games that you need to win. You need to win them well. You need to get some points on the board. And frankly, there's been a lot of games this season that we really should have won and that we've thrown away at the last minute. So as I say, solidifying a place other than 17th in the Premier League for how bad that we've played this season, frankly, is something to be happy about at the end of a very, very dark time. But look, yeah, that's the season. That's the season done. I just want to say, other side, just like a big thank you to Gio and Gonzo for having me this season, allowing me to talk shit to you guys, and thanks for putting up with me. To everyone else, everyone who's watched the videos over the course of this season, I've had a great time doing them. I don't get to talk to many people about West Ham. There's not many people who are West Ham fans around me, not in my workplace or anything like that. So it's been nice to sort of have a chat with everybody and get involved in the comments, and keep doing that. And I'll do my best to sort of stick about and kick around in the comments, both of this video and future Hammers Chat videos, as obviously I'm a fan of Gio and Gonzo and the work that they do. Please keep supporting them on Patreon as well, as I know it makes a massive difference to those guys. And yeah, if I ever get the opportunity to do this again, maybe you'll see me again. But for now, thanks for having me, and have a great summer until we do it all again.